Welcome to today's tutorial. In this tutorial, I will show you how I create anime eyes using Blender. As you can see, I already have my scene set up. I will leave a link in the description so you can get the file template so you can follow along, and also the file for this tutorial. The eye reference you see here, I got it off Pinterest. So I will try to follow it as close as possible. So let us begin. First, we're going to add a new texture. Change it to emission. We will rename it to eyes for now. What are we going to do first is add our base colors before we start to add the details. Press Shift A and add a gradient texture. Change it to spherical. Control T to add a texture and a mapping node, and we will change here to object. We will add a value node to control the scale of our texture. We will tweak the location of the mapping node until we get this to look like our reference. We will add a color ramp, change it to constant so we get sharp edges like in our reference. We then add a mix RGB node and choose the colors from our reference. We're going to add a new texture, change it to emission. We change our mode to edit mode. Go in face selection. We select this circle around here, change our emission to black, and click assign. We're going to select this middle section here and change it color to black. I need you to follow along here while I make some changes. Let's add a gradient texture here. Control T to add a mapping and texture coordinate. We're going to do some experiment here to get a refined look. What we are trying to do here is to get it to look like our reference image that we have here. So we will continue to do some experiment. Just follow along here. Trust the process. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. We are going to select these faces here and assign a black material to it. We are going to duplicate our gradient texture and our mapping node. Plug the texture coordinate into the mapping node. We will be using the same texture coordinate node throughout this video. We're going to adjust the settings of the mapping node to get our fine details. We're also going to add a color ramp. We're going to duplicate our gradient texture and color ramp 2 more times. The value node and also the mapping node. Control shift between these two nodes to add a mix RGB node. We're going to change the color ramp to constant. Control shift and right click. Control shift between these two nodes to add a mix RGB node. In each of the mapping node, we are going to adjust the location to put each eyelet above another to get this look at the bottom of the eye. We're going to change the color ramp to constant. Control Shift and right click drag to add a mix RGB node. Add another mapping node. Playing around with the settings to get a more refined look. Playing around with the settings to get a more refined look. Let's go into edit mode. Add a new material. Select these faces around the pupil. And add a diffuse material to it. Change back to object mode and click on our very first material. What we are going to do here is add the highlight at the top of the eye. We're going to duplicate the gradient texture and the color ramp. Value node. We will make some adjustment in our mapping node to reposition the highlight at the top. Rather, let us disconnect the value node and adjust our scale settings separately. Continue to make adjustments so you get what you're looking for. Playing around with the settings to get a more refined look. We're going to change the highlight color to a light blue. Playing around with the settings to get a more refined look. We're going to change our mode to edit mode. We are going to select the pupil area and press Shift D in face select to duplicate this section here. We will make the shape more spherical and change the color for some of the highlights. Also, we are going to duplicate it some more times around the eye. Change the color for some of the highlights. We then add some color to the other parts of the eye, like the eyelash, eyebrows. Now look at this, very good. Now we have a beautiful anime eye. Thanks for watching.